Hello and welcome to the first Conversations with Glenn podcast.
That's a clever title.
It is, and as
it's like Between Two Ferns.
Would you like to suggest a new name for the podcast?
He had one.
He did. What was it?
Backstage.
Backstage, like backstage.
Backstage, like that. Wow, that's like Between
Two Ferns.
Yes, yes, indeed. I'm Dan Andros. This is Tiffany Siegel along with us as well. She is the vice president of like everything at the Blaze or something like that.
I wish.
Yeah. Anyway, so Glenn has...
She's got a touch of the Ebola.
Yeah, she's got a little Ebola, and Glenn obviously does not have enough platforms to speak, so we needed to create another one for him.
I don't know why.
But actually, even though, Glenn, you do have a lot of, obviously, the TV show and everything else, you still don't get to we don't always get to the, personal side of Glenn all the time. And it's funny, because when I look back at what we did this week on television, we had all these great stories. The Candy Bomber. We had Peter Thiel. Is it Thiel or Thiel?
Thiel.
We had Mark Battison on Wednesday, Matt Walsh and Georgia Pellegrini, all these great stories. And the biggest story of the week by far was a stupid little Facebook post that you did. Not stupid, but it was just a little Facebook post, and that thing just went mega viral. So I guess I just wanted to get your reaction to that. Has that changed your perspective on things with the audience?
No,
or has it
Tiffany and I talked
it?
about it. It's reinforced it, and Tiffany and I talked about it, and you and I talked about it earlier this week, that that morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, Dream Labs had a meeting saying, whoa, did you see this? He wrote this at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's got 70,000 likes. What is it about this that people are connecting to? And it's pretty much what I've been saying in the company, the direction that we need to go in the company. And it's just strip everything else away. Just be who you are, say what you are, and connect. Know who the audience is. Connect with them. They're starving for somebody just to talk to them and be real. I mean, I was struck last night. I wrote another email or another Facebook post, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning. And I said, I can't sleep, so I open up my email, and I see this deal of like 12:40 in the morning. They're still down on stage 33 doing something on the History House. They're building this new set. And so they just send this, and so I wrote something about it. Well, all of the posts afterwards, if you look at those, they're over and over and over again. I can't sleep anymore either because of what's going on. I can't sleep. I didn't say that. I just said I couldn't sleep. I didn't say why I couldn't. But the thread, the collective consciousness is, I can't sleep. There's something bad is coming. Look at how much trouble we're in. And that's where we have to, that's why it's so important to read the Facebook post. It's important to listen to our audience because they're not necessarily in the same place every day.
Do you think people are like tuning out to some extent? I know the other day we had a meeting, one of the morning meetings, we were all saying like we're just sick of politics. Like, and we know we have to pay attention to it, and we know you got to watch which guys are getting in. But I mean, that's where I'm at. I'm just like I couldn't care less about what's going on in the political world.
Networks are doing less coverage on this election than ever before. Yeah. Less coverage. Now, part of that is because of their agenda, but I think part of it is because nobody's watching it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And why is that? Because they're not talking about the things that are real. In the Soviet Union, they would talk about whatever it is that, what the state was involved with, and the people would be like, yeah, rah, rah, rah. And they'd move on with their lives. They didn't listen to the state. The same thing is happening here. So there's this disconnecting. There's two realities. We are two Americas. There's the ruling class, the political class, the media class, and then everybody else. And everybody else has finally come to a place where I don't really care what they do. I'm just going to move on and do what I have to do. And there's a lot happening there. There's a lot happening.
Now, what would you say to the person in the audience? Because there's a ton of people who are, I think, right in line with that, and as the Facebook post showed. But what would you say to the people who are, because you've talked about this new direction you're going in, and the new things we want to focus on. What would you say to the people that are kind of still grappling with that, and they're still kind of holding on to the old thing, and and they're
Hold
a
on.
little frustrated, like when they see somebody that's maybe more left wing than would typically be on a network like ours, or a show like yours, and they get frustrated by that, and and
Give me an example, because I don't know anybody that we've had on. They may be left wing, but they're not people that disagree with our principles
Yeah.
on the things that we're talking
Yeah.
about. I'm not bringing anybody on to talk about left wing
Right.
politics, because
Right.
that's crazy.
yeah.
Well, it's a waste of time.
Well, all right. What would you go ahead, Tim?
I don't think that they're necessarily frustrated with what we're talking about. Maybe they're missing some of the things that
Yeah.
we're not talking about. Was that your question?
Yeah,
To
I
the
think
people
so.
that say, Glenn, why aren't you fired up about XYZ? Or why aren't you spending your monologues talking about the midterm elections?
You will understand November 10th.
Yeah.
People have asked me what my pivot point was. People in the media have asked, because they know I'm into pivot points, and they've said, well, okay, you've had this great change. You say these things, but really? So you'll understand November 10th.
Yeah. Would you say it's really a change? I was thinking about this. I mean, is it really a change for you? I mean,
No.
the content on the show, yeah, you can change focus, but you haven't changed. I mean, right?
I don't know. You guys know me.
I don't
You
think
know.
so.
Have I changed?
No, I think your perspective, I think you're better now at putting things into perspective, if you will. I think things that used to happen politically would rile you up more, and I think now, because of your pivot point, because of what you've been through, you're able to take a step back and say, no, guys, let's keep our focus here.
I believe in God more than I ever have, and I know that I know. I mean, Tiffany and I used to joke about what's coming, you know, being Jewish, and me being Mormon, and I'd say, well, we'll hide you unless they're coming for the Mormons, then you hide us. If they're coming for both of us, then we'll all
We'll
go
go
to
to
the
Dan's
mountains.
house.
Yeah, we'll go to Dan's house. And I know what's coming. We used to joke about these things, but I know what's coming. And I think the average person knows not necessarily what's coming. I was making pies with Hannah last night. It's 10 o'clock at night, and we're at the house because she says Lorelai's first birthday tomorrow. So she has to have pies. So we're making these little teeny pies and cutting the heart shapes out on the pie crust. And I said, I had a conversation off air with somebody today that the family knows and respects, and she's cutting these little heart shapes out of the pie crust. She's like, and what did he say, Dad? And she just keeps looking down, and I said, do you really want to know? Giving you the option out. Do you really want to know? She thinks about it for a while. Yes, I do. So we had a really frank conversation. It's not a surprise. It's just a little scary that it's becoming more and more real. And as I said earlier this week, that which you gaze upon, you will become. If we gaze on those things that are making us angry, we'll become more angry. We can't water the weeds. We gotta water the flowers.
So let's shift the focus a little bit. Wanted to talk a little bit about how you are doing, just specifically. Just how's your soul doing?
Is this a setup?
No, I'm just asking about you. How are you feeling? How's your soul doing?
I don't know. I know what's true. I know what I believe. I know the blessings of the temple in my faith. I know the blessings of eternal marriage in my faith. I know what's true. So unfortunately for me, I believe all the basic tenets of my
Right.
faith so deeply. And it's the people.
Yeah.
And we all have them in all of our churches.
Yep.
We all
Yep.
have them. So it's not my church. It's
Right.
just
Well, anytime you get, I know we always joke with our friends about like you want to get involved in church, but you don't want to get too involved because that's when you start seeing all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and you're like, wow,
you know
these
what?
people have all these
Yeah.
flaws and
it's not
and
it's
things.
not
and,
it's not even that with me. I don't get involved in.
yeah.
I don't. I mean, I don't talk to people. I don't, because what happens when I go to church, people will sometimes want to talk to me. This is in the past. They want to talk to me. They want to talk about politics. I want to go there to renew
Right.
myself. So
Yeah.
I don't talk to people at church. And also, we have had many times where, you know, we didn't talk about this, but about 6 months ago, we had a guy come to church, and he got up onto the stand, and he started talking directly to my family, and it was scary. And he was from another state, and he had come to
Jeez.
talk, and so it gets really scary at times. And so,
Yeah.
you know, we have security with us and everything else, and so I unplug, which I think sometimes people interpret that as, oh, he's too good for us or whatever. I
Right.
don't know, but it bothers me that I'm putting other families in danger, and so I just don't plug in. But there are those people who disagree with me politically, and of course, in every church,
Right.
every church. But we've just had some really sad things happen that I'm sure I've played a big role in myself, and I'm having a hard time with faith, not with faith, with religion, because last weekend I went to Gateway, which I love, and I had this great time with Ravi Zacharias, and I Facebook post, and then it becomes a Mormon bashing thing on Facebook,
Right.
and I'm like, look, I don't.
But that's not your problem with religion.
No, I know
That's
that, but
their
But
problem.
it's religion. I know, but it's religion, and so I get all riled up, and I'm like, you know what? Can you leave my faith alone? Can you just leave me and what I believe alone? Do I do that with you? Have you ever heard me, Dan, ever bash anybody's faith?
Never.
Ever? Any faith?
No, and I think you can have those conversations. Like, look, obviously, when you have different theologies, you have those conversations when they arise, but
with respect.
with respect.
You
right?
can say, you and I have had conversations where we disagree. You and I have had conversations.
Ravi Zacharias has spoken at the Mormon,
Yes,
you know,
tabernacle.
the main Mormon
He's
tabernacle.
been there.
Yeah.
So we have those, but you have them respectfully.
Right.
And you don't damn somebody to hell because they disagree with
Yeah.
you. And so last weekend that was happening, and then this week I've got Mormons bashing me, and it's just like I'm just so tired of.
Yeah.
And so I got up this morning and I was praying, and I'm just making big changes in everything in my life. Lord told me a year ago, big changes are coming. Big changes are coming. I'm gonna change all the connections, and He's changed almost every connection in my life, except for my wife. And I got up this morning and I was saying my prayers, and I thought, am I that far removed from you? Because I'm contemplating these massive changes, and you're not saying anything to me. So either I'm okay, or I've removed myself so far from you that I don't even know where I am anymore. So I don't know how my soul is.
Let's talk about the good stuff. What do you look forward to when you get home? What's
What are the things that give you joy and hope?
yeah. What's Glenn Beck do when he gets home from work? Kicks off the shoes and
Sleeps. Last night, I walked in, and my second oldest daughter, Hannah, was there. She was ready to make pies. It was really late. I was really tired. And she gave me a really long hug. She didn't let go. I made the decision not to be the first to let go in hugs a few years ago. And she didn't let go. And I finally said, what have I done to deserve this hug today? And she said, nothing. You're just my dad. I love you. And then Rafe had snuck out of bed because he sleeps less than I do. And all of a sudden, I felt this hand come up on my back, and it was Rafe. And I said to Hannah, because she's got her face here, and I said, there's a little one behind me, isn't there? And she said, yes. And I knew it was Rafe, and I said, Rafe. And he put his hands around me. And so the three of us just hugged in the kitchen. That's what I love. That's what gives me joy.
That's great. Feel free to punt on this one, but I wanted to ask this since you brought up Rafe. Rafe's adopted. He's, how old is he now? 10?
10.
10? So I know he's just about the same age as my daughter, who is, I think, just a couple months less than him. I remember him from being, he was a big baby, but I remember him at the time. So it's amazing to think that he's 10 now.
I know, it's crazy.
But I just wanted to ask you, how's that going now that he's getting older, the relationship and that aspect of it, as far as, on the...
I don't know. We've, he's had one serious talk because Tanya and I talked about it from the very beginning. Honey, he's a boy. And he's either going to say to you or to me at some point, you're not my dad. You're not my mom. And I said he's going to say it when he has no place to go and he's mad. And we have to be really cool. And so we prepared for it. And he was really mad last summer. And he said, you're not my mom. And I'm so proud of Tanya. She just laughed. She just laughed and said, yeah, I'm not your birth mom, but I am your mom. And I love you, Rafe. And she walked out. What? He didn't know what to do. And we had a conversation about it, and he's totally cool with it. We've been talking about his family history, his genealogy, and he's English. So I don't know what that's going to mean for our dental bills in the future. But he's English, and so he was, he's. Tanya's Italian, so Cheyenne was saying, I'm German and Italian, which is not something you don't want to usually get the Germans and the Italians together. It never works out well. In her case, it has. And he just came out one day and he's like, well, I'm English. And it took me a second. And I was like, oh and you're right, you are. But he's cool with it. It's great.
That's great. That's cool. That's really cool.
It's Friday afternoon. Did you learn anything this week, or what's the one thing that you didn't know last Friday at this time that now you can walk away with?
I think I learned a lot of stuff. I learned that I have a lot of really good people working at the company. I have a lot of good people that don't work at the company, that love us. I learned that I learned that no matter how you feel, take it one day at a time and slow down. Slow down.
What did you learn this week?
You're turning the guns around on me?
I mean, yeah.
That's not fair. I'll tell you what, I learned about I'm just looking down at the review and the sheet, one of the interviews that stuck out at me this week was the candy bomber. I knew all about that Americans are viewed as the ones that throw out the candy, when we're overseas and we're in somebody else's countries, our military guys are the liberators. But I didn't know this guy still existed. I didn't know he was the first one. I'd never heard that. I'd never heard the story about this guy before. It's actually, you almost feel ashamed for it. But
and that's something too you can learn too is beyond that is that one person makes a difference.
Yeah.
That guy changed the image. He changed the image of the American soldier.
It's 94, and what stuck out to me with him was what he said: money really doesn't matter. It's the service that you do that matters. And after such a full life, that really changed my opinion on money and how you use it and what it should be put towards.
What'd you learn?
I don't know if I learned it, but I was reminded by your Facebook posts and all the responses that what I said to you, the shoe still hurts the foot that it's on.
I love that. Have
That
you
it-
ever heard this? Say that again.
The shoe still hurts the foot that it's on, meaning that at the end of the day, all of those posts, everyone had the same struggles.
Yep.
Rich, poor, black, white, gay, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got someone close in my life now who isn't doing very well financially, is single, but has a job and is getting by, but is still not in a relationship, and the reason is because he thinks he needs to have, a certain status in life achieved before you can go and onto that step, and that's just a complete and total falsehood. You don't achieving anything like that does not make you then qualified to then be in a relationship with somebody. So I think society tends to fall for these sorts of fake standards that are set up, that you need to have a nice car or a stable, big paying job with a nice place before that you can go and get engaged to somebody or
Connie
something
and I
like
talked
that.
at midnight last night about selling our house. Selling all our crap and selling our house.
Well, I mean, you have a really nice house. Glenn's probably the wealthiest one that we know.
Well,
But at the end of
I
the
have a
day,
few side gigs, but I'm not going to talk about that.
at the
Not at
end of the
liberty to talk
day, we
about
asked
that.
him what makes you happy, and it was a hug from his kid, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that doesn't really cost anything. And again, we'd all say
Money
that
doesn't.
exact same answer.
Money doesn't make you happy. It makes your problems bigger.
Yeah, it's not it. It's not. I think it was. I don't know if this is falsely attributed, but I heard this story about Brad Pitt, who said, he's like, I'm the guy. He's like, I'm the poster guy. I've got the movie star. Angelina Jolie. You've got the movie star wife, and you've got the Hollywood life. Everybody knows you. You're famous. And he's like, I'm telling you, it ain't it. It ain't it. So that's about as high as you're going to reach if money and fame and good looks and everything else. And he was just like, it's not it. There's still, now, of course, I don't know what I don't know what he's looking for still. He didn't
The
seem to
shoe
come
still
down
hurts
with
the
it.
foot that it's on.
Yeah,
That's
but,
all it is. We all have the
But
same crap
the point
at the end
is,
of the
doesn't
day.
matter what, you're going to have that emptiness there.
There is a hole that
yeah.
needs to be filled.
Absolutely. All right, cool. Well, I think that's good for our first conversations with Glenn, or backstage
Between two ferns.
between two ferns.